Have you ever caught yourself thinking, I don't want to bother anyone, but I wish I could do more on my own? If you're past 65, maybe you've noticed that little tasks you used to breeze through now take a bit more effort. And sometimes, without even realizing it, we start leaning on others for help with things we actually could manage ourselves if we only made a few small changes. Now, there's nothing wrong with asking for help. That's part of life, and we all need support now and then. But what I want to talk to you about today are the everyday mistakes that quietly chip away at independence, leaving us more reliant on others than we really want to be. And the truth is, these mistakes are avoidable. Once you see them clearly, you can take back so much control over your daily life. So let's have a heart-to-heart about the 4 common mistakes people make after 65 that can slowly make them dependent on others, and how you can avoid them so you stay strong, capable, and confident in yourself. The first mistake is one that sneaks up on almost everyone: not moving enough. You've probably heard the saying, use it or lose it, and when it comes to our muscles, balance, and energy, that couldn't be more true. The temptation to slow down is real. Maybe the knees ache a little, maybe the back feels stiff in the mornings, or maybe you think, I've earned my rest. And yes, you have earned it, but rest is different from inactivity. Here's the thing, when we stop moving, even just a little, our bodies quickly start to lose strength. That muscle you built up from years of working, raising families, walking around town, it can vanish in a surprisingly short time if it's not being used. And the scary part? Losing just a bit of strength and flexibility can make simple things harder: standing up from a chair, climbing stairs, carrying groceries. And when those things get harder, it's easy to start relying on others more and more. The good news is, you don't need a fancy gym or intense workouts to avoid this. Gentle, consistent movement is the secret. Even a daily walk around the block, stretching before bed, or light exercises you can do sitting in a chair will keep your body active. One woman I know, well into her 70s, swears by her 10-minute wake-up stretch every morning. She says it keeps her feeling limber enough to garden, cook, and play with her grandkids without asking anyone to fetch or carry things for her. That's the kind of independence you want to protect, and it all comes from choosing movement, even when it feels easier not to. So if you've been sitting more than you used to, catch yourself before that becomes a habit. Think of movement as your daily investment in freedom. Now, the second mistake often comes hand in hand with the first, but it lives in a different part of our lives: not paying enough attention to nutrition. After 65, appetite can change. Maybe food doesn't taste as good, or maybe you just don't feel as hungry. Cooking for one or two can sometimes feel like more trouble than it's worth. And little by little, the meals get simpler, smaller, or skipped altogether. The trouble is, our bodies at this stage need good fuel more than ever. Without enough protein, vitamins, and minerals, our muscles weaken faster, our bones become more fragile, and our energy drops. And when your energy is low, guess what happens? You lean more on others, not because you want to, but because your body simply can't keep up. Let me give you an example. A gentleman I met recently shared how he fell into a routine of tea and toast for breakfast, a sandwich for lunch, and then sometimes just a small snack for dinner because cooking felt like too much. Over time, he started feeling weaker and more tired, until eventually he needed his daughter to help with chores he used to handle himself. Once he realized what was happening and began adding more nutritious, protein-rich foods, like eggs, beans, fish, and plenty of colorful vegetables, his energy came back. Slowly, he regained his strength, and with it, his independence. So, how can you make this easy for yourself? Keep it simple. Stock your kitchen with ready-to-eat but healthy choices. Think pre-washed salads, canned beans, yogurt, or a small bag of nuts by the armchair. You don't need to cook big meals every day, but you do need to give your body the right tools to keep moving and thinking clearly. And let me tell you, every forkful of nutritious food is like telling your body, I've got your back. When you pair good movement with good nutrition, you're laying down the foundation for independence. You're saying, I want to keep choosing what I do, when I do it, and how I do it. And isn't that what we all want? To feel free, to make our own decisions, and not have to depend on someone else for things we know, deep down, we're capable of? Now that we've talked about how lack of movement and poor nutrition can quietly steal independence, it's time to dive into another mistake people make without even noticing. It's something that doesn't affect the body so much as it affects the mind, but the impact can be just as serious. You see, one of the biggest traps many of us fall into after 65 is ignoring the importance of keeping the mind active. It's easy to think, I'm retired now, I've earned my rest, and while that's true, rest should never mean shutting down the most powerful tool we have, our brain. When the mind isn't challenged, it becomes sluggish. Memory starts slipping, problem solving feels harder, and even simple daily tasks can suddenly feel overwhelming. That's when independence begins to fade, not because the body gave out first, but because the brain wasn't exercised enough to keep up. Think of your brain like a muscle. If you don't use it, you lose it. And keeping it active doesn't have to mean complicated things like solving advanced math problems or learning a whole new language, unless that excites you. It can be as simple as reading a book every evening, doing crosswords, or even challenging yourself to learn something new about technology. Maybe you've never tried using video calls with your grandkids or setting up an online grocery order. These little activities don't just make life easier, they spark new connections in the brain that keep it sharp and resilient. The bonus? You feel more in control, more capable, and less reliant on others to explain things or do them for you. Now, while the brain needs stimulation, the body also has its own set of needs, and one mistake that often sneaks up on people after 65 is neglecting balance and flexibility. It might not sound like a big deal, but here's the truth: a loss of balance is one of the leading causes of falls in older adults, and a fall can change everything in the blink of an eye. Suddenly, the independence you've worked so hard to maintain is replaced with recovery times, reliance on walkers, or even constant assistance. And it often happens not because the person was weak overall, but because they didn't pay attention to the little things that keep the body steady and mobile. The good news is, you can strengthen your balance and flexibility at any age. Think about simple habits, like practicing standing on one foot while brushing your teeth, or doing gentle stretches in the morning to keep your joints from stiffening up. Even activities like Tai Chi or light yoga, which many people assume are too difficult, can be adapted to suit any level. These aren't just exercises, they're insurance policies for your independence. Imagine walking through your home or out in the garden, moving with confidence instead of fear. That sense of control, of being steady on your own 2 feet, is priceless. And while we're talking about the body, there's another mistake that's easy to overlook: underestimating the importance of nutrition. It's tempting to fall into routines where meals become repetitive or not as nutritious as they could be, especially if cooking for one feels like too much effort. Sometimes, seniors fall into eating easy foods, crackers, instant noodles, or processed snacks that fill the stomach but don't really fuel the body. Over time, this lack of balanced nutrition doesn't just lower energy, it makes you more dependent. Weak muscles, brittle bones, slower healing, and even increased risk of illness are all tied directly to what we put on our plate. But here's the inspiring part: small changes in diet can make a huge difference in maintaining independence. Adding colorful fruits and vegetables, keeping protein consistent with foods like eggs, fish, or beans, and staying hydrated are all things within your control. Even if cooking isn't something you enjoy, preparing simple meals or making smarter choices at the store can give you the strength and vitality you need to stay self-reliant. Picture yourself carrying your own groceries, cooking your own dinner, and knowing your body has the fuel it needs to support you, instead of depending on someone else to step in. When you look at these 3 areas, keeping your mind engaged, protecting your balance, and fueling your body, you start to see a pattern. Independence isn't about avoiding help at all costs. It's about setting yourself up in small, practical ways so that you stay capable of making your own choices and enjoying life on your terms. Every little effort you put in is like a gift to your future self, saying, "I've got this. I'm not going to let small mistakes take away the freedom I've worked so hard for." Another mistake that often goes unnoticed until it's too late is neglecting social connections. After retirement, and especially after 65, many people slowly withdraw from friends, neighbors, or even family. Sometimes it's because loved ones move away, Sometimes it's because health or mobility makes going out feel harder, and sometimes it's simply that people assume they don't need much socializing anymore. But here's the truth: loneliness can be just as damaging as poor nutrition or lack of exercise. Studies show that isolation actually raises the risk of depression, memory decline, and even physical illness. Independence isn't just about being able to cook your own meals or walk without assistance, it's also about keeping your spirit alive. When you have people to talk to, laugh with, and share experiences with, you feel more confident and engaged in life. On the other hand, when you isolate yourself, daily life becomes harder and less meaningful, and that's when dependence on others often grows. So how can you avoid this mistake? Make social interaction a priority. Call an old friend, join a community class, spend time with family, or even volunteer. The energy and purpose you get from staying connected are powerful tools for maintaining both independence and happiness. Now let's talk about another crucial but often overlooked factor: ignoring technology. Many seniors feel intimidated by smartphones, tablets, or computers, and so they avoid them altogether. But avoiding technology can actually increase dependence. Why? Because so many everyday tasks, from booking doctor's appointments to paying bills to staying in touch with loved ones, are now done online. Without at least a basic comfort with these tools, you may find yourself relying heavily on others to do these things for you. But here's the good news: learning technology is not as scary as it seems, and it's never too late to start. Even mastering just the basics, like using video calls, sending messages, or looking up information, can give you tremendous independence. Imagine being able to see your grandkids' faces anytime, manage your finances from home, or even learn new hobbies through online classes. Technology, when embraced, isn't a barrier, it's a bridge to freedom. Finally, one of the biggest mistakes that undermines independence is not planning ahead for health and lifestyle changes. Many people prefer not to think about aging, so they avoid creating a plan for how they'll handle potential challenges. But ignoring the reality doesn't make it go away, it only makes you less prepared. Independence is easier to maintain when you're proactive. That means scheduling regular checkups, discussing future wishes with your family, and making small adjustments to your home for safety, like better lighting or non-slip rugs. These aren't signs of weakness, they're smart strategies that allow you to stay in control. So let's bring it all together. The biggest mistakes that can rob you of your independence after 65 are not about one single event, but about small habits and choices that add up over time. Failing to exercise both body and mind, neglecting balance and nutrition, withdrawing socially, ignoring technology, and avoiding future planning, these are the silent culprits. But here's the empowering truth: every single one of these can be addressed starting today. You don't need to overhaul your entire life overnight. Just one small step, a daily stretch, a phone call to a friend, a healthier meal, or even asking a grandchild to show you how to use a new app, can put you back on the path to independence. And here's the most important thing to remember: independence is not just about living without help, it's about living with dignity, choice, and joy. It's about knowing you have the strength, the mindset, and the support system to live life on your own terms. So don't let these mistakes sneak into your routine. Take action now, protect your independence, and enjoy this beautiful stage of life with confidence and pride. Because at the end of the day, independence isn't just about freedom, it's about the freedom to live the life you love, for as long as you possibly can.